Hi, everyone. Welcome into Primetime TV Show. I'm your host, Barbara Marvell Kelly. With me is my co-host, Dennis Kelly. Welcome back again.
Good being back.
Two Mondays in a row.
How about that?
And then we're gone next week because of Christmas week and everything. So we decided to have just kind of a laid-back discussion. For any of you that happen to be our Facebook friends, if you have any questions for this healthy guru here, we are opening up the show to answer any questions. So I have my handy-dandy little smartphone here. You can private message me, and we're going to just be talking about really what moves us. It's almost the end of the year. I know many of you are probably getting ready to set some New Year's resolutions. That's something I don't do because that's added stress, right?
It's about time you do set them, isn't it?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. You think I should start that next year, like a New Year's resolution? But then that puts all that extra stress on you.
Not if you see it as already having the benefits that you want to gain from it, then you don't feel the stress. The journey is the exciting thing, but the key thing is you have to keep your mind on the direction you're going, because that's the exciting factor. They're already seeing it, that you've arrived. So then it's called eustress, E-U-S-T-R-E-S-S.
The good
That's
stress.
the good stress.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get that. I get
So
that.
stress isn't all bad. Most of it is, but the eustress is good. It's the thrill of winning, the thrill of accomplishing something, reading a new book or whatever. And that overcomes, in a lot of cases, if a person lives in a lot of eustress, it overcomes the other kind of stress, which is the disabling stress, the cortisol bath,
Exactly.
the adrenaline bath.
You know, we were talking about, well, we have had several shows about stress, and it almost to the point where it's annoying. But you know what? It's everywhere, no matter where you are, who you are. There's no limit to the age groups, the social class of people, or anything. The stress is all around us. And you had mentioned it just before we started the show, is around the holidays.
That's
There
the
is
most
so
stressful
much
time. More
stress.
people pass away in December and January than any other time of the year.
Why do you think that is?
Well, it's the stress, and sometimes it's the stress of getting things organized. The family comes over, who's going to cook this, who's going to do that, what do we get for Christmas presents, the crowds in the stores. There's so many different things that contribute to that. And also the fact is sometimes Christmas is very sad for people. Like I lost my mother on Christmas. So every Christmas around December 2nd when I lost her, you can feel some of the pains of that. You just have to work around all that. But some people really get into that where it ruins their whole Christmas because they don't have the loved one with them. Rather than having some type of belief system where your loved ones are up in a much better place than I am right now, and I'm thankful they're there. You looking at it from that standpoint rather than sort of feeling that we are, how would I say it, we're being deprived of something.
Exactly. And I think it's all in how you really appreciate those people and get into the gratitude. You've heard us talk about gratitude, and I could talk about gratitude till the cows come home, because it's the one thing that has gotten me out of any little funks or any little mini meltdowns, as you call them. And while we do have a lot of the answers, I tell you, we're no different than the plumber with leaky pipes. We do have our moments and everything, but this time of the year is really special for me because I have a grandson that is 2, and he is all over the place with excitement and joy and fun and everything. So that's where a lot of my focus is too, but also the whole story of the birth of Christ is also so very special. It's not necessarily about all the presents and all the material things. It's really about what the Christmas story is about and how we can really get with our family and enjoy our family. Oh, my sister isn't going to be here. She's going to be out in Arizona. And, well, actually, no, she's going to California. She just told me to be with her daughters. So we'll have our family here. We'll see, you know, your daughter as well. And we just find a way to just enjoy the season. But it's not that way for everybody. So I'm glad that you mentioned the points that you did about, you know, taking a look at what we do have and not what we don't have, right?
Right, absolutely. Now, let's count your blessings. Get in a state of appreciation, gratitude, an attitude of gratitude, so to speak. Well, you know, the sad part about it is people that really want to be healthy and live longer, that get into taking all kinds of supplements and exercise, and all these things are good and important. But the interesting thing is, if you don't learn how to handle stress, all those things will be to avail. For example, the University School of London of Medicine, they did a 20-year study, the most conclusive study on stress there ever was done in history that we know of. Anyway, what they found out that unmanaged mental and emotional reaction to stress, you're more apt to get a heart attack or disease, heart attack or a stroke or any kind of disease than if you were smoking and eating high cholesterol food. In other words, not that I want you to encourage anybody to smoke or eat high cholesterol foods, but actually that's not as bad for your longevity and the health factor as it is as if you were smoking and eating high cholesterol foods. In other words, the stress is worse than that on your system and everything. In fact, when you go to the gym, if you work out, that puts a stress on the body, which is good. That can be eustress if when you leave the gym, you keep into a good mood, you keep thinking about all the pleasant things that you can. Because if you get out of the gym and get on the highway and get stressed out in driving or go home and get in an argument with your loved one, then that exercise is actually counterproductive.
It's been
actually,
canceled
you'd
out.
have been better off not doing the exercising.
Right.
That's what people don't realize.
Yeah. It kind of cancels it out.
Yeah, it cancels it out as the best thing, but the worst thing is it's actually worse off.
Yeah.
Does it mean that you have to live a perfect life? No, but the key thing is whenever you get stressed out, keep in mind that stress is internal. It's not the external thing, it's your reaction. The best explanation I ever heard of stress is when I went up to the mountains to get certified as a life coach with Heart Math Institute. When your perceptions of life's events do not meet up with your expectation and you fail to manage the results.
That is
It's
the
as
best.
simple as that.
It is the best absolute definition of stress.
The best one I ever heard.
It makes so much sense because we don't always have on-the-spot answers or on-the-spot perceptions of what's going on. Somebody may say something to hurt your feelings. Somebody might cut you off in traffic or, give you the bird finger or things like that. And it hurts your feelings, and sometimes we react rather than respond. And my husband's always saying to me, look at it this way. That person is doing the best they can with what they have to work with. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of truth to that. Aren't we? Aren't we really doing the best we can today? If not, we can figure it out and do better. I know I can always do better. How about you?
Absolutely. One of the best advices I can give anyone out there is take it upon yourself to make it a project to become a stress master. A stress master is someone that can handle any situation and call upon any given emotion to fit any situation. That takes a lot of practice, but it's worth it because somebody that can really handle stress, can focus and concentrate and keep in mind all the things that they want to accomplish and keep their minds off the things they don't want to accomplish, that person becomes a very valuable entity with whoever employs them, or if they're a manager, owner, or someone simply seeking out a wonderful relationship. If you are a stress master, can handle stress and stay calm under any situation, let me tell you something. The value of who you are and what you are raises 100%.
Well, and it comes back down the road, too, because you almost program yourself to respond rather than react by going to the heart and letting your heart give you the response on what you need to do at that particular time, right?
Yeah, there's a great book written by Anna Weiss. It's called The High Performance Mind. And her explanation of a high performance mind was quite unique. A high performance mind is one that at will can reach that state of consciousness most beneficial and desirable for any given circumstance. In other words, think about it. If you could take and call upon any emotion to fit that circumstance, the results that you get, your life can be elevated to such a higher level that you could never imagine just by overcoming it. It takes practice. You work on it every day. I tell everybody, get a rubber band, put it around your wrist.
I love that.
Because, well, first I'm getting a little ahead of myself there. A lot of people don't realize one angry thought held for 5 minutes or more will lower your immune system for 6 to 8 hours. An angry thought, a worry thought held for 5 minutes or more. It's no wonder a lot of people walk around with no immune system whatsoever. Your IgA, your first line of defense of the immune system, is completely destroyed when you're angry for more than 5 minutes. The cortisol, the adrenaline, the the glucocorticoids. These are all the harmful hormones that put us in our grave at an early age. So the important thing is, with the rubber band, is every time you get stressed out, remember this: you got 2 minutes to replace that angry thought, that worry thought, with a good thought, with something that you going to your heart, something that makes you feel good about yourself, something that happened 10, 20 years ago that when you think about it makes you feel good, or the warm, fuzzy feeling you get when you look at a picture of a loved one. That's important then, to replace that angry thought, that worry thought, with those good thoughts. And then the key, the little game you can play, every time you're stressed out, pop the rubber band. That sort of puts you from your right brain to your left brain, which is the logical thing, so you can sort of sort out things. And then go to your heart. Call upon a caring, loving thought. You've got 2 minutes to replace that negative thought. And if not, because what happens then, all the bad chemicals start going into the body. So what happens is, the key with how to play the game is go 7 days without going past 2 minutes. And if you are on the 3rd or 4th day and you go past 2 minutes, then you start all over again. Let me tell you, the first time I did this, I got to the 4th day, and then I went past the 2 minutes. So I got so frustrated myself, I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make sure I get through the 7 days without going past 2 minutes with a worry or negative thought, replacing with a good thought. And once I did that, it was amazing. For the first time in my life, I felt that I don't ever want to be negative again very long, because I feel so good. I was much healthier. In my karate and martial arts, I did much better. Everything changed in my life in a dramatic way. And it really makes you feel good, because you can be a good example then for the ones you love. I always tell everybody, best gift you want to give somebody for Christmas, be a good example.
You know, that is so true. In fact, my daughter-in-law, Jamie, if you and JD are out there watching, mwah, I love you. We were talking about, really setting that good example for our family, and the kids were saying they had gotten on the treadmill on Sunday. I'm so proud of you guys. And it's true, because if we don't set that example for our children and grandchildren, then what are they going to learn from us? How are they going to be healthy? And you have to be healthy in today's world, especially with your immune system, with so much disease and so many challenges going on out there. And the stress. Turn on the news any day. That's enough to stress you out. And that'll definitely give you more than 5 minutes of angry thoughts and things of that nature. So when you can learn how to deal with just about any stress that you can think of and handle that in under 2 minutes, it becomes a program in your system. It truly does. In fact, now, if I go on about something that I'm disappointed about or whatever, I'll turn to my husband or I'll turn to my friend or whoever, and I'll say, did I go past 2 minutes just now? So you eventually program yourself to stick within that 2-minute rule. And it really does
work. You don't need the rubber band anymore.
I know. We don't wear the rubber band anymore.
It's automatic. Mm-hmm. In fact, your body then shifts without you even thinking about it.
It does.
That's so beautiful. You go right to that beautiful spot that you were thinking about. But you don't even have to go there once this is established, because it automatically goes in like on autopilot.
Yeah, it does. It definitely goes on autopilot, and it feels good because you're way happier, or even at least neutralized. Because let's face it, we all have those days where things keep cropping up, but when you follow that 2-minute rule, it really will change your life forever. We have a break coming up, so we're going to go ahead and do that. When we come back, we're going to share more conversation with you. And again, if you're a Facebook friend, go ahead and text us a question, and we'll see if we might have an answer for you. We'll be back after this.
This is one bee that loves going to the dentist because it's made for you and me.
My name is Dr. Becerra from New Tampa Pediatric Dental. Providing a comfortable atmosphere in early dental care gives kids a great start for healthy teeth and gums for life.
When I go to Dr. B, they don't do anything to hurt you.
I used to be afraid, but I'm not now. I'm not afraid of the dentist anymore. I love to see Dr. B. Call New Tampa Pediatric Dental today.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonatti created, perfected, and patented the Bonatti spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonatti invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonatti spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonatti succeeds where others fail.
Everyone's story is different, so why be limited to just one or two options? With Norcom's Norflex Home Loan, you're given the flexibility to tell your story. Pick your terms from 8 to 30 years, all while maintaining a low, fixed mortgage rate. You can pay off your loan more quickly or choose a term based on your budget and timeline. Whatever you do with the Norflex Home Loan, make it part of your financial plan. Norflex. Short-term, long-term, your terms. Apply online at norcommortgage.com.
This is one bee that loves going to the dentist because it's made for you and me.
My name is Dr. Becerra from New Tampa Pediatric Dental, providing a comfortable atmosphere in early dental care. Gives kids a great start for healthy teeth and gums for life.
When I go to Dr. B, they don't do anything to hurt you.
I used to be afraid, but I'm not now. I'm not afraid of the dentist anymore. I love to see Dr. B. Call New Tampa Pediatric Dental today.
Welcome back in, everyone, to Primetime TV show. Barbara and Kelly here are here just having open discussion on what happens when we get stressed. This is that time of the year, and we're getting closer and closer to the holiday season, and some of you are in your another holiday season, and goodness knows, then we have setting up the rules and the resolutions for a brand new year and getting rid of the old stuff that we don't want to take with us. Speaking of getting rid of old stuff, wouldn't you think that that would be a really great thing to think about before we go into the new year? In other words, holding on to old stuff and just letting it go? Sounds easier than it may be.
Well, there's an interesting article written by Shad Helmstetter. He's a PhD that wrote a book, What Do I Say When I Talk, or What Do I Think About When I Talk to Myself? And he's written several books in that. And he one little metaphor that he comes up with that I think is quite unique to give you a pretty good idea. He says, think of your mind like a garage, like an apartment or a garage, and more so like apartment. It seems to make a better result. But anyway, he said, think of that, and you got these pictures that are getting old, and some of the furniture is falling apart. And then he said, what you do is just take and put it in the garage and then start all over. But what happens is somebody takes, and of course these broken pictures and furniture that's messed up, these are all the things in our mind that are messing up our mind. These are all the negative things that we store in there. So what happens, what you do is put it in all of them in the garage, and then what happens is you got this bare apartment. Then you decide, well, I think I'll bring the chair back. And I think I'll bring the picture back. And then there you end up with the same old thing because you feel a little bit lost without those old things you're used to. Yeah. The key thing is burn it.
Get rid of it.
Get rid of it. Yeah, forget about putting it in the garage. Just burn it, so that you can't come back to it again. And then actually put new things, new picture, new furniture, new whatever. And imagine that apartment. The difference in that apartment, and especially when people come to visit your apartment.
That's a good analogy,
they don't
really.
Put up with that old furniture now. Well, I don't do it quite as eloquently as Shad Helmstetter did in his book, but that gives you sort of a paraphrasement of
we can get, I got the picture clearly, because we do the same thing in our minds.
Yeah,
We let
yeah.
stuff just overload and just more stuff, overload and more and more and more.
Well, if I went in somebody's living room and dumped garbage on the living room floor, and that person would either shoot me or tell me, or call the police or tell me to pick it up and get out. But we allow people to put junk in our brain, you know. We
Yeah.
allow people to influence us with the junk that's out there. You have to really decipher what's junk and what isn't. There's so many people, I call them psychic vampires, they walk around with a little umbilical cord ready to zap you, you know, and put a pin in your balloon. They
Especially
get
when
off
things
on
are
that.
going really well for other people.
I used to have a couple people that I thought were friends that when I wised up and realized, and some of the things I've learned over the period of the years, people judge you by the people you hang around. Your success has a lot to do with the people you hang around. I always try to hang around people who are smarter than me.
Well, you can learn.
Yeah,
We can always learn.
I can't learn from somebody that doesn't really care about life, that doesn't have anything. The only thing I can learn about somebody like that is what not to do.
Exactly. Well, we love hanging out with like-minded individuals. That has served us very well, and we've really learned a lot, and we share and grow together. There's so many people in the community and on Facebook and on the internet that we collaborate with different ideas and different ventures that we're doing. And it's just the way that I think things could be and should be, is how we can share the goodness, because there still is a lot of goodness in this world, in spite of what you see on the news and the craziness going around the planet and all of that. But it all really comes back to my favorite four-letter word, and that's L-O-V-E. If we can just have more love in our hearts and live from our hearts. And I know sometimes it's not that easy, especially when somebody has wronged you, hurt your feelings, crushed you in any way. It's difficult. It definitely is. But we can do it. We can definitely do it. And that's why we wanted to take this show and share some little tidbits, you know, what's going on around the holidays and how we can help ourselves if we do have those little melancholy moments and everything. Don't let them overcome you, because there's so much to be thankful for. I am looking so forward to seeing my grandson opening up gifts. We just celebrated his birthday just a few weeks ago, as you know. And oh boy, he likes getting presents, especially the musical instruments.
He must have got that from you.
Maybe. I don't know. His mom and dad are pretty talented, and I have to say, he was so genuine and so authentic, and opening up his drums and getting out there and playing the drums and his little guitar, and oh my goodness. And that's my joy with the season, and just spending it with the family that I do have here.
Well, I think that one of the key things that I found out in really helping me and helping myself and other people that I work with is that what you want to do is keep your mind on the pleasant things. In other words, everybody has something looking forward to. Like, for example, if I know I got a Green Bay Packer game coming up, I will focus on that Packer game. When I start feeling a little negative, I'll focus on that, on something I really want to happen, off of something I don't want to happen. Just little things like that, little joys that you may have. Focus on those things. When you wake up in the morning, instead of thinking, well, what problems am I going to run into today? What challenges am I going to run into? In fact, when I was running my businesses, one of the rules that we had with my employees is they could never use the word problem. Use the word challenge. If you just change that language, that comes from Helm Schoenstetter. He talked about constantly what we think we become so much. It's so powerful. People don't realize what you think about, you bring about. And by focusing on things that you don't want, most people do. They keep their mind on things they don't want to happen, and they don't allow themselves to focus on the things they do. Because when you focus on the things you do want to happen, if you can get passionate about that, it's like I talk about in goal setting. Get passionate about something that's going to happen, then you're putting so many good hormones and chemicals in the body. You're also influencing the people that are around you that are looking forward, being part of your world. You're influencing that in a positive way.
Absolutely.
There we go back to that best example.
Yes.
Don't try to be perfect. The biggest challenge in the world is, the biggest negative in the world, basically, is just striving for perfection. The school teacher expects the students to be perfect. The students expect the school teacher to be perfect. The priest expects the congregation to be perfect, congregation expects the priest to be perfect. It's this striving for perfection that drives people nuts. Husband expects the wife to be perfect, wife expects the husband. There's no such a thing as perfection with any human being, any machine. Everything
true.
has its weakening point.
Yeah, and it's really developing that want to understand how we can build relationships better, whether it be in your immediate family or whether it be in business. I mean, being courteous and being caring for other people and really putting yourself in their shoes and what's going on in their lives. You may not know, just like you may not know what's going on in our lives, but there are ways for you to actually handle that in a very, very positive way. And again, going right back to that 4-letter word, you'll never, ever go wrong. And we've been living a heart-centered life for a number of years. Like I said before, every now and again, there'll be something that will crop up and, but we don't go past the 2 minutes, do we?
Absolutely.
That 2-minute rule, it will save you.
We bring it up to the other one. Now, don't go past 2 minutes. We make it a game. And it takes something that normally would be a negative and actually turns it into a positive.
Absolutely.
It's so wonderful when you learn to control those emotions, because 85% of our success in anything is our ability, our attitude, to have a good attitude of gratitude. And that means having good emotional control. And a lot of people have a misconception. Go and express yourself. Get rid of it. That's better than keeping it inside. But the key thing, that expressing yourself, an outward expression to get rid of the frustrations, can cause little fires that you're going to have to put out, can cause you to ruin relationships by expressing it. What you do is not repressing it or expressing it, is change it. In other words, change it, release it. That's the word I'm looking for. Releasing it means that you're changing it with a positive thought, positive feeling. Actually, it's more important to have positive feelings than it is positive thoughts. The key thing is how you get positive feelings is basically decide how you want to feel. And then call upon that emotion or that event that makes you feel good, and then dwell on that rather than the thing that's making you feel bad. Most people spend 90% on the problem and 10% on the solution. The thing is, on the challenge, spend 90% on the solution and only 10% on the challenge. And you'd be surprised the difference that makes in your life. Because reaching a state of imperturbability, the Chinese or the Orientals call it Wu Wei, the ultimate human. And that is doable.
It is doable.
They're not perfect. The ultimate human's not perfect. Superman wasn't perfect. He had kryptonite to deal with. Supergirl still has the same problems. Didn't learn. She didn't learn from Superman. So the key is lose perfection as a direction, not as a goal. I can never be perfect in anything that I do because I realize that. But the key thing is by realizing that's the direction you want to go to.
Yes.
That's where the goal setting comes in. That's where we're working on yourself, the mind, the body, and the emotion. Remember, the mind is the map, the body is the vehicle, and the spirit is the fuel. And when it's like juggling. You keep your eye on the one that's in the air. And like sometimes I may be not spend enough time on the mental, on reading enough. Other times I may not spend as much time on appreciation or gratitude that I need to. So it all goes about checking our feelings. You can't so much check what you're thinking every hour, every minute to change into good thinking. You check how you're feeling. So if I'm not feeling good, and I don't necessarily mean physically, I mean emotionally or spiritually, if I don't feel good, then I go back, well, what am I thinking? Because it has to be something you're thinking that's not making you feel good.
Right.
All right, so I just change that.
That's an excellent point.
It's really simple.
Yes.
It's hard to do.
But the average we don't
person
think
doesn't
about
know it.
that
You're
unless
not
we
born
bring
with this manual.
I know. I was reading something about that. If we were only born with a manual on how to live this life thing, right?
Absolutely.
Well, we're actually working on
Wouldn't be
a
any
couple
fun.
of them.
Wouldn't be any fun if
We've had a lot of fun. We're going to talk about that because we have a break coming up. But we're going to be talking about the journey, that it's not really about the destination, arriving there. Stick with us because we have more to come right after this.
This is one bee that loves going to the dentist because it's made for you and me.
My name is Dr. Becerra from New Tampa Pediatric Dental, providing a comfortable atmosphere in early dental care. Gives kids a great start for healthy teeth and gums for life.
When I go to Dr. B, they don't do anything to hurt you.
I used to be afraid, but I'm not now. I'm not afraid of the dentist anymore. I love to see Dr. B. Call New Tampa Pediatric Dental today.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonatti created, perfected, and patented the Bonatti spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonatti invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonatti spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonatti succeeds where others fail.
Everyone's story is different, so why be limited to just one or two options? With Norcom's Norflex Home Loan, you're given the flexibility to tell your story. Pick your terms from 8 to 30 years, all while maintaining a low, fixed mortgage rate. You can pay off your loan more quickly or choose a term based on your budget and timeline. Whatever you do with the Norflex Home Loan, make it part of your financial plan. Norflex, short-term, long-term, your terms. Apply online at norcommortgage.com.
This is one bee that loves going to the dentist because it's made for you and me.
My name is Dr. Becerra from New Tampa Pediatric Dental, providing a comfortable atmosphere in early dental care. Gives kids a great start for healthy teeth and gums for life.
When I go to Dr. B, they don't do anything to hurt you.
I used to be afraid, but I'm not now. I'm not afraid of the dentist anymore. I love to see Dr. B. Call New Tampa Pediatric Dental today.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back into Primetime TV show. Barbara Marville Kelly, Dennis Kelly here. Totally unscripted today, just kind of rolling with the show and sharing what comes to mind, things that we think that just might help you have a better Christmas, better holiday, Hanukkah, whatever you are celebrating out there. Something that we have saved for the very last segment is some healthy tips on things that we can do that just might stave off a heart attack. So stay with us or have somebody else tune in that maybe you know aren't on the show right now. But we were just saying before the break that we all have this path, this journey to follow. And it's taken me a lot of years to understand that it's not so much the destination, it's the journey. And I'm sure you're hearing a lot of the talk about living in the now, living in the moment, living right here, because this moment right now is what we have, right? Instead of thinking about tomorrow or the next week or the next month or the next year or 5-10 years from now. I mean, there is such thing as setting goals for yourself and everything, but really the excitement comes with living in the now, right now. It's like right now we're having this television show to share with you some of the tips that have helped us become more healthy, become more successful, become more loving, more understanding of human beings, family, friends, and the like. So I want my husband, being the Heart Math Institute life coach that he is, after going over there several times and becoming certified in living a heart-centered life, he's going to share some of these things with you in something called, was it segment intending?
Yeah, it's a little thing that you can do that becomes a big benefit. Just every day, I like to do it when I wake up in the morning, and I usually lay there for about 10-15 minutes and do what I call segment intending, What that means is you run over your day, seeing the day being a productive day. I don't mean in detail, but just basically seeing everything working out fine, asking yourself what challenges may I run up against, what do I intend to do with it. In other words, seeing the day as being a very well constructed day. That's segment intending. Now when you go to bed at night, then you can lay there for a few minutes and think about, well, what if you had some negative things that you maybe said something to somebody that you didn't really want to say and it hurt their feelings. In other words, something that you wish you could have taken back. Usually it's words or deeds or things like that. Then when you lay in bed just before you go to sleep, do a segment intending reverse. In other words, seeing these bad things not as bad things, but seeing yourself doing it, saying the right thing that you should have said. In other words, going over what you should have said. Because if you don't do that, those same mistakes you make during the day, you're going to make again. And you're going to do it over and over again. That same verbal argument that you may have gotten into, you will say the same things if you don't do the segment intending. And that's not a perfect world, but it basically gives you a chance to really change that paradigm that you might get into, so the next time you run into that, you're going to say the things that you thought about you should have said. In other words, segment intending means, okay, now which would have been a better way to say that? Go to the heart. Ask your heart. Give you some, as we talked about the heart having a brain in it, what she does. All right? And then asking her, give me some pieces of advice. And then put your attention in the heart, do some breathing from the heart, and think of a better way at that time that you would have, something that you would have done or said to correct the situation. Then the next time that situation happens, believe me, you will not have that same negative effect on that person or situation.
Wouldn't you say that is a lesson learned?
Yeah, absolutely. Then there's no such a thing as doing something bad as long as you make something good about it.
So a lot of times people will get into arguments or whatever, and nobody really wins because your heart coherence is in a totally different state. It's certainly not in a love state. So I love what you say about that, because after the argument's over and nobody's won, either you kiss and make up or it just kind of lulls there and nothing is really solved until, like you say, the next time, then it just gets worse.
Yeah, the main thing about a debate, I hate to call it an argument, a discussion, is harmony. In other words, is this going to end up in a harmonious discussion or is it going to end up in a negative one? And the main thing is to have a harmonious discussion. You don't have to, in other words, you don't have to argue. You can debate in a friendly, peaceful way. You don't have to run into a situation where you're stressed, because especially during the holidays, there is a lot of tension. More arguments happen during the holidays than just about any other time.
Absolutely.
Or soon after the holidays.
Absolutely.
That's why in the next segment, we'll talk about some of the things you can do to actually, possibly, in a sense, save your life.
Because, you know, stress it builds up. It builds up.
Number one killer.
Absolutely, it is. And not only that, but it also contributes to so much dis-ease in our bodies. And that's why we're always up on our soapbox talking about the effects of stress, how it affects us on a daily living. Every single day we're faced with it, whether we wake up in the morning and the alarm clock goes off and it's making that horrible buzzing sound. That right there's stress. And you just will say, no, just give me 5 more minutes, right? So you're waking up to stress with things like that. Then you listen to the news and that's a whole other story right there. And you go to make your breakfast, there's no milk, there's a little stressor right there. And I'm not saying to get totally really out of this world stressed out on some of the little things, but if we can learn how to deal with the little things, then when the big things come along, it becomes a little bit easier. Do you agree?
Yeah, I have 2 rules in my life. As you know, I live by these rules.
Yes,
Rule
you
number
do.
1, do not sweat the small stuff. Rule number 2, everything is small stuff.
That is so
everything. We're here
true.
today and gone tomorrow. We end up being dust, all right? I believe we live forever with our spirit, obviously, but the point of it is, why be little about life? Be strong about life. Appreciate life. Because like I say, it's that little dash between, on our tombstone, between the day we're born and the day we leave this earth. It's that dash that's in between. What happens? What's that dash made of? You know, what kind of legacy are you going to leave with your family and your friends when you leave this earth? they need to be able to say some good things about you. And that starts with making people feel good about themselves. Have you ever asked yourself, I wonder how that person feels when they leave my company, when they leave my presence, right? Do they feel better about themselves or do they feel worse?
That is a very good point.
Sometimes
We've talked
you have
about
to make
that.
people feel a little worse to get their attention, but that's done as a planned thing to eventually come back with something constructive so that you can correct that habit, or not correct it. In other words, you can't correct other people's habits, but influence them to change their habits.
Right, especially in like a coaching session and, you know, things like that.
Yes.
But it's about how you feel about yourself too when you decide to either react or respond to whatever. If somebody's sending daggers to you and they're not talking nicely to you and they're handling a situation that is totally unprofessional or unethical or whatever it is. And I have seen my husband, he's way better at this than I am, but some crazy thing will happen and I will just be going, really? You are so calm, and you just let it roll right off your back. You do.
Well, that's because I've got a lot of people that are looking forward to the things that I work with them on as far as helping them. And if I can't live up to that, then that's being hypocritical.
That's
the
right.
way I analyze it. I have a big responsibility, which forces me, in a nice way, to follow through with these things, not only from my own self-satisfaction, but from the other people that depend on me helping them with their challenges. But one thing that people have to be careful of, the third law of the laws of the universe, the law of allowing. The biggest challenge that we have, most stress comes from other people and other things that we don't internalize it properly, so to speak. The key, the law of allowing, is allow other people to be the way they want to be, even though they want you to be the way they want you to be, and not try to change people.
That's right.
You can give them advice, you can give them, in other words, things that could help them in their situation, but the key is don't try to change that person. It's funny, when people get married, the very thing that attracts each couple to each other, after a few years, they want to change.
Really?
Yeah, that's very common. The very thing that attracted a couple to each other, they eventually, one or two of both want to change that. It happens a lot more than you think it does.
I don't see anything when we...
Well, that's not a good example using us as that.
Oh.
I wouldn't want to change anything in you.
I never thought of anything I wanted to change in you.
And well, the things that attracted you to me are still prevailing.
Oh, well, that's good. Then you're going to keep me around for a while.
Yeah, you're a keeper.
Except for when I act like I do when I get the dad look. And it's the honest to God's truth. If I'm just having a moment and he'll just give me the dad look. That's the dad look. and it calms me right, especially if I'm approaching the end of the 2-minute rule. That's when I get the dad look, because he just knows what's going to happen with all the chemicals that goes into the body, right? The negative chemicals that contributes to dis-ease and more chemicals and more, so we do have to follow that 2-minute rule.
Yeah, disease is proven. Disease cannot live in a body that's in a healthy emotional state. A lot of people don't know that for every disease, there's a country where that disease does not exist. And a lot of the diseases are not from germs like people think. It just means that the system, the prevention system of the body, what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, a lot of it comes from the stress, not from the bacteria. Our immune system, that's what I wanted to say. Our immune system is lowered when we're under stress, so the bacteria, the virus has a chance to take hold. But if your immune system is high, that's why people that are very positive, people that practice these systems we're talking about, they don't get sick hardly ever.
It's true. It's very true. We have a commercial break coming up, and speaking of getting sick, we're going to be talking about a few things that you can do. You can pass this on to your family and friends, especially if you know anybody that maybe eats a lot of high-fat diets and things like that. Stay with us. We're going to tell you what you can do to help yourself possibly prevent a heart attack in these times of not only unnecessary stress over the holidays, over the new year, purchasing gifts, cooking, and all of that, but it comes right down to eating your meal. So stay with us. We'll be right back again after this. Almost didn't get that out.
This is one bee that loves going to the dentist because it's made for you and me.
My name is Dr. Becerra from New Tampa Pediatric Dental, providing a comfortable atmosphere in early dental care. Gives kids a great start for healthy teeth and gums for life.
When I go to Dr. B, they don't do anything to hurt you.
I used to be afraid, but I'm not now. I'm not afraid of the dentist anymore. I love to see Dr. B. Call New Tampa Pediatric Dental today.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonatti created, perfected, and patented the Bonatti spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonatti invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonatti spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonatti succeeds where others fail.
Everyone's story is different, so why be limited to just one or two options? With Norcom's Norflex Home Loan, you're given the flexibility to tell your story. Pick your terms from 8 to 30 years, all while maintaining a low, fixed mortgage rate. You can pay off your loan more quickly or choose a term based on your budget and timeline. Whatever you do with the Norflex Home Loan, make it part of your financial plan. Norflex, short-term, long-term, your terms. Apply online at norcommortgage.com.
This is one bee that loves going to the dentist because it's made for you and me.
My name is Dr. Becerra from New Tampa Pediatric Dental, providing a comfortable atmosphere in early dental care. Gives kids a great start for healthy teeth and gums for life.
When I go to Dr. B, they don't do anything to hurt you.
I used to be afraid, but I'm not now. I'm not afraid of the dentist anymore. I love to see Dr. B. Call New Tampa Pediatric Dental today.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back into Primetime TV Show. We're always live at 5 on Mondays. I'm one of your hosts, Barbara Marville Kelly. With me is my sidekick, Dennis Kelly. Did I ever tell you you got the cutest dimples?
Please, spare me.
Well, we have saved some of the best for last in this last hour, and some of it is kind of unsettling when we talk about, heart attacks and that. Certainly we all want to prevent that. But we understand that this time of the year, especially with all the stress and the high-fat foods and things like that, there are things that we can do that can help ourselves. Well, first of all, following that 2-minute rule. But when it comes to eating high foods, my husband shares this with our students, our coaching clients and all. There's a reason for it. And I'm going to let you go ahead and explain all that, because there's something that happens to the body in the middle of the night. Isn't that when most of the heart attacks happen?
Yeah, around 3, 4 in the morning.
Why is that?
Well, there's several reasons. The body is dehydrated then. And the key, the secret, basically, to prevention, nothing's guaranteed. It's not 100% foolproof. But the secret is water and breathing. For example, when you eat a big, high-fatty meal, a lot of people die of a heart attack a few minutes after eating a big, heavy meal. That's because the heart needs oxygen. And when we eat fatty foods, what happens is the body basically, when we're eating high fat foods, the fats need the oxygen. The fat absorbs all the oxygen in our system. And what happens then, the heart doesn't get enough oxygen, and you go into a heart attack. And that can happen, especially if you have any heart problems you may not even be aware of. And if you have a strong heart, obviously, the chances are that's not happening. But if you have a heart that needs an excessive amount of oxygen because of a heart that's laboring or whatever, or a weak heart, basically, then the important thing is to make sure that heart keeps getting enough oxygen. So when you eat a high-fat meal, then the oxygen is eaten up, so to speak, by the fat. The fat needs the oxygen. The heart then does not get the oxygen. So the key is 30 minutes before you eat. This helps with digestion also. Drink a full glass of water, not tap water, purified water.
Good, clean water.
Right. And then 30 minutes after you eat, drink the water. That's important because that helps with the digestion also, and also the body then gets oxygen from the water to a degree. Because what happens is when you're dehydrated, then the body is actually starving with a lot of other things beside just the oxygen. The other thing is after you finish eating, sit down, relax, and do some deep breathing. Just relaxing isn't going to be the answer because that's not getting more oxygen into the body. So after you finish eating, sit down and take 10 deep breaths. Inhale to the count of nose, Inhale to the count of 5 through the nose, and then exhale to the count of, say, 6 or 7 through the mouth. Do that 10 times, and you'd be surprised how that could potentially save somebody from having a heart attack or stroke.
And that is the most powerful information that I learned from you, because I forget when it was, but there was a few years ago, and I apologize, I can't come up with his name. Maybe some of you remember one of the Soprano actors, remember?
Yes.
And there was a list of the foods that he had eaten that might have, I'm not saying it did, but it might have contributed to his demise.
Probably did.
And it was that time that you were doing more research on the drinking the water, the deep breathing, and all of that. But also, when you drink a glass of water, not just to help prevent a heart attack if you have eaten a high-fatty food diet, but it also helps to fill you up so you don't eat as much, right?
Yeah, that's another good point. Another thing is, too, is a lot of people don't realize for every pound of fat you have, the heart has to pump through 200 more miles of vessels, little tiny microscopic little vessels that the heart has to pump through, 200 more miles of that. So the key thing, especially if you're overweight, and the fat in your body, your heart is pumping through those millions of miles of little capillaries, then the heart's working harder. So the less fat you have, obviously, the less the heart has to, in other words, the less oxygen the body has to have for the fat. So that's why it's so important after you finish eating, especially if you're overweight, sit down, relax, and take the 10 deep breaths. And the other thing is right before you go to bed, drinking a full glass of water, because the body dehydrates, and that's where a lot of disease comes from. The other thing is, too, it thins the blood, so the chance of having a heart attack or stroke, are a lot less by drinking a full glass of water. You may have to go to the bathroom a little bit more, but it's worth it.
It is definitely worth it.
Because it could, especially if you're overweight. And that doesn't necessarily mean if you're the perfect weight that doesn't hold true also. But the thing is, the chances of having a heart attack when you're sleeping are more if you're overweight, because that body fat is using up a lot of the oxygen.
That was just such a fascinating explanation when you shared that with me, and this was years ago, that it just really stuck with me. And when you think about it, around the holiday season, that's when the feast comes out. I mean, nobody holds back. It's like, okay, it's holiday time, and there's this big spread of food, from cookies and cakes to pies, and oh my goodness, I can't even think about the grams of fat that we eat at a Christmas meal or a New Year's Eve meal or even going out to eat.
Well, I think too, one thing that I do with myself, I don't worry about it so much because I take care of myself. I eat 80% of the time right during the non-holidays. So in the holidays, I do splurge a little bit and eat more desserts than I normally would eat and eat more than I normally do. But that's an exception to the rule.
Exactly.
Keith, and can you imagine how that is with a person that overeats all the time? Then the holidays, they overeat more than they overeat, so to speak.
Exactly. Well, you know, too, is going to the gym, and you can forgive yourself if you do have a piece of pie or whatever. We have a standing rule ever since we've been together for 20 years now, is if we're going to have desserts, we reserve that for the weekend.
Yes.
And during the week, we try to be good. I mean, there have been a few times where we've cheated. We're human.
If you like desserts like I like desserts, if you deprive yourself completely of it, then you're creating stress right there. So what I do during the week, I think, well, I got the weekend to look forward to so I can eat my carrot cake or whatever.
Exactly.
And in moderacy.
Exactly.
Years ago, I used to eat 2-3 pieces. Yes. Then I decided I would change that when my blood sugar levels started getting out of whack. Before I got into martial arts, got into all this good thinking and living, so to speak.
Well, we're going to be doing even more research on the latest and greatest up-to-the-minute health tips and all the different things that we can do to defy the aging process and live the best quality of life as we can. That's one of the reasons why we named our show Primetime TV Show, because first of all, this is our prime time, and we're giving you our prime time because every moment is very precious to us as we're still on this earth, sharing and caring for others. And this is the perfect venue for us to do that with. And so we're very appreciative for you to share with us and your time and everyone just coming together. And you can maybe take a few little tips that we've shared with you today, share it with your family members, and imagine during those heavy, high, wonderful, tasty, great meals, there's a lot of fat intake. If we were able to save one person from having a heart attack just by doing that, we'll never know, but we know that we're sharing something that is very profound. And of course, for those of you that are maybe tuning in for the first time, maybe you don't know us, my husband is a certified sport nutritionist and a fitness trainer, so he knows a little bit about what he's talking about. Keeps me in shape, pretty much, unless I cheat, and I do.
Well, I think it's important for couples to support each other on these goals because it's very difficult for one to be in a health kick, and when I say health kick, I mean that basically that's a good thing. And a health kick meaning eating healthy foods, taking supplements, because vitamins do not give, food does not give us all the vitamins we need.
That's right. We know that. We absolutely know that. And the thing is that when we know that, it's up to us to make the right choices to go ahead and eat healthier if we want to live a quality of life. Because I'll tell you, I've seen so many members in my own family, you have, and that's one of the reasons why we're on this quest to give back and learn as much as we can and set the example. We started out our show today talking about setting the example for our family members and our grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and we won't, we don't mind being known for the health nuts, right?
Right. Well, one thing that was my wake-up call is when my father, at 53 years of age, died of a massive coronary. Then I realized that I had those kind of genes, so I had to replace my way of doing things and change that with good habits.
Absolutely. And you have, and something else is we don't necessarily get stuck with the, what do they say, that, your parents had this or that, and it's hereditary for you. You've changed that for sure.
Yes,
as far as
you can actually change your DNA to a degree. And there's so many superfoods out there now that help you reach that goal.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Lots of superfoods. We'll probably be sharing some of those superfoods in one of our shows coming up in the new year, because today is our last show together. Next week, we are going to take the holiday week off and play. And then I will be back with you with Women Unscripted on the 28th of December. And if you haven't seen that show, it totally is unscripted. We have 3 of my gals that come on that made a big, major life change for me. And so we share a lot of things, and that is unscripted, pretty much kind of like today. But, you know, when you get a bunch of girls together, it's crazy fun and crazy good. So it looks like it's time for us to go ahead and say our goodbyes. We want to wish you a happy holiday season. Be healthy and really just enjoy yourself. And don't forget to hug your loved ones and keep them close. Keep them close at heart, even if they live 3,000 miles away, like my sister and my nieces and all that kind of good stuff.
Well, happy holidays to all of you out there.
Absolutely. And I will see you 2 weeks from tonight. Take care. Happy New Year.